Hey, it's Stacey from Proven Winners ColorChoice Shrubs and the Gardening Simplified show. And we thought it was time that we give you a quick tour of our garden here in mid-May in West Michigan. Now this is going to be a two-part video, so if you want to see both parts, make sure that you check the caption to see part 2. So we're starting right here with an oldie but a goodie. This is Double Take Scarlet Flowering Quince. And flowering quince is one of those plants, it's an old-fashioned flowering shrub, which is to say that they used to be super popular and then they kind of dipped in popularity. But Double Take has done a lot to bring this back to the forefront. Why? Well, for one, it's thornless. So the old-fashioned types of quince have big, long thorns on them that made them really unpleasant to prune or to garden around or anything like that. And number two, the flowers on this plant are double, as you can see. So instead of just having one layer of petals, they have multiple layers of petals, and each individual bloom on this plant just looks like a whole corsage of bright red flowers. Now, I love bold, bright colors. Not a big fan of the pastels, so I adore this plant. I love how much color it has and how much impact it has in the landscape. I love the contrast between the red flowers and the green foliage. This one is hardy down to USDA Zone 5, heat tolerant all the way through USDA Zone 9, and it's extremely long blooming and drought tolerant even in those hot climates. Our trial gardens here are a good 20 acres. They're huge, and believe it or not, not every plant that is planted here is in the Proven Winners ColorChoice line. Some of them are just here because they're beautiful. Some of them are here because we're experimenting with them, all sorts of different things. And this is one of those plants. It's not in the Proven Winners line. This is a generic azalea that you can find on the market. It's called Mandarin Lights Orange, and you can see it comes by its name very earnestly. And I obviously couldn't help but show you this gorgeous thing today. It's not quite in full bloom, and I don't know what it's looking like on the camera, but Adriana asked me to make sure that you know we have not saturated this or played with the contrast or anything like that. This plant really is this floriferous and this bright. Now, a lot of people, I think, when they think of azaleas, they think of the pinks and the purples, and those certainly are more popular. But there are some marvelous hot colors like this, and our new native Sweet Reward azaleas, which aren't in bloom quite yet, but when they bloom in a couple more weeks, we'll definitely be showing you some pictures of those because they're gonna have a lot of the same kind of color. But you know, if you have been thinking that you love azaleas, you have acidic soil, but you're just not a big fan of the pinks and the purples, look for the fabulous orange ones like this one. So it is prime azalea and rhododendron time here in the garden. So this is not the first or last you're going to be seeing of them. The last plant we showed you was an azalea. Overall, the differences between rhododendrons and azaleas are fairly minor. Azaleas are generally deciduous, or if they are evergreen, the foliage is kind of soft. Whereas with a true rhododendrons, the foliage is thick and leathery like this. But botanically speaking, both are known as rhododendrons. Now these are true rhododendrons that I'm in the middle of right now, so delightfully. This is the Dandyman series of rhododendrons. So in the front here we have Dandyman Pink, and back here we have Dandyman Purple. Both of these are good, vigorous, disease-resistant rhododendrons that obviously bloom a lot and bloom reliably. Rhododendrons are a great choice for shady conditions. They do, however, need moist, acidic soil. And if you're trying to grow them in anything but moist, acidic soil, you're not going to get results like this. So this is definitely one of those plants that where you put it matters. But as you can see right here, if you have it in the right conditions, it is stunning. So on a spring garden tour, it's really easy to give all your attention to the flowers. And we obviously have so many fabulous things in bloom right now. But that doesn't mean we should neglect the foliage. So that's why I wanted to spend a moment talking about this plant. This is Double Play Candy Corn Spirea. This has become one of our best sellers. People love it because it is really hard to beat if you love colorful plants. So a couple weeks ago when this thing just started to emerge in spring, the foliage was coming out bright candy apple red. It's a color you really have to see to believe. And then as that foliage expands and it gets a little bit warmer, it starts to turn to this beautiful, vivid yellow and chartreuse and red and pink and orange. And this color will persist basically through the season when that new growth comes out. And then when it flowers, it has these bright pink flowers. So if you love colorful plants that don't need a lot of work, Double Play Candy Corn Spirea is a great choice. So obviously in spring, it's really easy to talk about how beautiful plants are without talking about how useful they are. And this plant behind me right here Groundhug Aronia is one of our most useful and versatile plants. This is a selection of our North American black chokeberry, Aronia melanocarpa. And in the wild, this plant gets to be about 6 to 8 feet tall and wide. This one was selected specifically for its ground covering habit. That's why we call it groundhug, because it grows close to the ground and hugs it. And so it's a perfect solution for difficult areas in your yard that you don't want to do a lot of maintenance on. Say you have a slope or something like that. It's really durable. It can take pretty much anything you can throw at it in terms of soil, dry soil, wet soil, sun, shade. And it's beautiful enough to be actually worth looking at. So in spring, it's covered in these nice white flowers with pink pollen. Those turn into blackish purple berries that are eaten by birds or other wildlife late in summer. And then in fall, it gets amazing red, orange, and yellow fall color. So this is not one of those plants that you're going to plant right there by your front door and give it pride of place. It's a problem-solving plant for things like this: entryways, slopes, parking lots, anything like that. But you shouldn't neglect the fact that this is a very useful and versatile plant for difficult areas. Okay, so Adriana and I were just joking that it seems like every garden tour we do, even in the middle of winter, we talk about this plant right here. This is Dandyman Color Wheel Rhododendron. But I mean, honestly, how could I not talk about it when it is looking this amazing in the garden today? I had to share it with you. So like the other Dandyman rhododendrons that we showed you, these are good disease-resistant rhododendrons. They still do need to be sited properly, so moist, acidic soil, good drainage, very crucial. But these are really cool because they go through a color change. So when they're budded up, they're in this bright, bright lipstick pink color. They open and they're pink, and then they start to fade to the white. So you can kind of see some of that happening right here. These are on the downswing of their bloom this year. But what I love about this plant, they are absolutely covered in flowers, and you don't have to do anything special. As long as you site them appropriately and give them, their basic needs, they're going to do this for you every year. Siting is important, just like I said with the other Dandymans. And this beautiful plant comes to us from Dr. Tom Rainey of North Carolina State University. So we have two different series of lilacs in the Proven Winners ColorChoice brand. We have Bloomerang lilac. Those are our reblooming lilacs. They have smaller foliage, smaller flowers, and a slightly different fragrance, but they do bloom a lot longer. And then we have the Scentara series, and the Scentara series is known as Syringa hyacinthiflora, and they're some of the most fragrant lilacs that you can grow. And that's why I wanted to show you this one. This is Scentara Pura lilac, or Pura lilac. It is on the downswing of its bloom, so it's not at peak color, but it still smells wonderful. And you can still get the sense of what a powerful bloomer this is. It's absolutely covered in these beautiful pink flowers and has the most amazing scent. These are a little bit hardier than your standard lilac. They're also a little bit more heat tolerant than your standard French lilac. So they need fewer chilling hours, so you can grow them in warmer climates than you can most other lilacs. They actually are heat tolerant through USDA Zone 8. So a great choice if you live in a warm climate. Of course, if you live in a warm climate, this would have already bloomed several weeks ago. But it's still worth showing you, and I just wish you could smell it because it does smell absolutely glorious. So there's lots more to show you, but we're going to wrap up part 1 right now. If you want to see part 2, make sure you check the description below. Adriana will put a link in there, and you can see the rest of the tour. Thanks for joining me.